prelim headliner meet, and for a reason, right? Niko Price, the hybrid, a guy who always delivers, win or lose. When you watch a Niko Price fight, you are always left entertained, and he's an easy guy to root for, right? I mean, he's pretty funny on the mic and has a very wild skill set. I mean, the hybrid is a perfect nickname for a guy like Niko Price, but if you look at his resume, like, he fights a lot of tough guys. He always has his moments in those fights, but it's been difficult for him to string together a nice win streak in the last four. I mean, he did pick up a nice win over Cowboy Oliveira most recently, but he lost to Michel Pereira before that, beat Cowboy, but that got overturned, and then got finished by Luque in that one. And he did have that nice KO finish over James Vick, but that was his last finish, and James Vick is a guy who, towards the tail end of his UFC career was getting finished by basically everyone. And he's taken on a guy in Phil Rowe, a.k.a. the Fresh Prince, who is one of those fighters who every single time you see him in these last couple fights, he keeps getting better and better. Like, I'm reminded almost of like a Jalen Turner, who's another example of someone who knows Pooh Bear, right?
Yeah,
like
Pooh
these
Bear.
guys, every single time they fight, they are noticeably leveling up, and I think that's where Phil Rowe is, and I kind of think that this is the UFC on a decent Orlando card saying, yo, here's your opportunity to pick up a prelim headlining victory over a guy that a lot of people know in Niko Price. A lot of people respect Niko Price, and I think this is just a hell of an opportunity for Phil Rowe. And this is a guy who's 2-1 in the UFC. He dropped his debut when he lost to Gabriel Green, but like I said, those next two fights, two straight finishers, one over Orion Kosei, who is not a good fighter, and then most recently over Jason Witt, and he made that look pretty easy. His punching was looking super nice, very stiff, just absolutely cracking Jason Witt and preventing Jason Witt from getting those takedowns that he was trying to. So in this fight, I'm curious to see how they match up because these are both pretty tall, lanky 170-pounders, and Phil Rowe is pretty massive, right? 6'3", has a near 81-inch reach, and that's a 5-inch reach advantage when compared to the also pretty decently sized Niko Price. And Niko Price is one of those dudes who is just kind of built differently physically. Like, he's super shredded, got those huge broad shoulders, and is honestly just a tank at 170. So very curious to get your thoughts on this one. I see this being a stand-up affair. So who are you taking in Niko the Hybrid Price versus Phil Rowe? And do you expect to finish in this one?
Yeah, no, this is a very fun fight, and I just don't see how this goes decision. Niko's such a wild man, and Phil's been getting better and better, and I just see one of these guys getting slept. I kind of have it as a pick'em. Looks like so does the odds makers. Surprised to see Price getting a lot of love over at Topology, but I'm gonna go with Rowe. I like that he's leveling up while Niko's kind of been just a hybrid, just chilling. He's not one or the other. He's kind of a hybrid, not really excelling at one thing. While Phil is definitely, he could be up on that upward trajectory of really becoming a very, very top echelon fighter. So excited to see how much he's leveled up since his last bout, and I think he's just gonna get this done purely on his momentum compared to Niko's been around for a while. He's not as driven. He already knows he's not going to be champion. That's why he fights like a mad lad. So this is going to be a fun fight. It's always fun with Niko, but he's a sloppy guy, which makes his opponents get sloppy. So sometimes he does win, but it's the battle of the slop. That's how I see it. And whoever gets clipped first loses. And I'm rooting for Rowe on this, so I got to ride with him.
Yeah, I think you described it perfectly. Just like a sloppy slobber knocker is how I'm anticipating this fight going. And as a result of Niko Price, right? He's going to make this thing ugly. He's going to push the action right away. And as long as Phil Rowe starts the fight engaged and is ready from the jump, then I think he should be fine in this one. But if he just gets bombarded, gets absolutely meat rushed early, and isn't able to deal with what's coming his way, then that could be a quick, rough night for Rowe. I just like to think that in this prelim headlining spot, at this point in their career, that he's ready for this moment. And, he's a guy who keeps getting better and better, and Niko Price almost, I don't want to say he's plateaued, but we haven't really seen Niko Price add too much to his game in the last, 4 fights or so. It's consistent, pretty solid Niko Price, but upper echelon guys and top 20 dudes who are closer to the top than they are the bottom can end up getting the better over Niko Price for sure. And Tapology's roll with Niko, 54%, about half and half. Some Brown for the KO, others base for that decision, and 46% is rolling with Rowe. And I was a little surprised to see that mostly all of it is Brown for that KO. Do you think there's any pathway where Phil Rowe can win a decision, or is it KO or bust for the Fresh Prince?
He could get a decision. I could totally see that, but I think either one is KO or bust. I really like the under 2.5. That's probably what I'll write. I'll have to look at it. I don't know what the odds are, but that's something to look into if I was, you guys. Because I just don't see how this is gonna go the distance. Someone's getting slept. It's a sloppy knocker, and it's gonna be a banger.
I think so too. Yeah, I think it's guaranteed banger for sure. And another just kind of fun little tidbit in this fight is that both these guys are Florida dudes, right? Cape Coral is where Niko's fighting out of, and straight out of Orlando is the Fresh Prince Phil Rowe. So in Orlando, his hometown crowd, this place going to be going absolutely crazy, especially right before that main card. So should be a super fun fight for sure. I gotta roll with you though. I like Phil Rowe. If he stays at a dog, I think that there's like decent dog value in that pit because again, this guy keeps getting better and better, and I think he's ready to capitalize on this moment, ready to seize this opportunity, and maybe he does get that finish and the under 2.5 cashes as you touched on, but I also don't think it would be the craziest thing ever if he's able to win a decision because sometimes Niko Price is difficult to put out. He can survive, and it's almost like sometimes he looks like he's hanging by a thread, but some of his fights do manage to go the distance, and we know Phil Rowe as a guy who is capable of winning a decision as well. Never mind, he only has finishes on his record. So maybe that's why a lot of Tapology thinks that it is KO or bust for Phil Rowe, but maybe he gets his first decision. We'll see. I'm rolling with Rowe just like you, though. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's KO. Someone's getting knocked out. Let us know in the comments who you think it is going to be.